Hey guys, to help run the forums, host the website, and travel, we've introduced a universal service fee for in-depth coverage, including this video. My goal is to be unbiased and transparent. It's a privilege to serve you. This is not an endorsement. Let's get into it. We made it to a beautiful mall, been cruising around Palos Verdes. We're looking at the PEGASUS Premio E8. And the E8 stands for 8-speed, internally geared Shimano Nexus Inter 8. This thing's pretty sweet. It can be shifted at standstill. It's got this nice half grip twister versus trigger, so if you're someone who's a little less familiar, or maybe you just want that clean cockpit, you're gonna get that with this bike. It's really nice. It's also got a Gates carbon drive belt here that's gonna be a little bit more reliable than chain, quieter, and it's interesting to see that they included the Velo clear plastic sticker slap guard, probably unnecessarily, because this chain is not going to nick it up if you go over bumpy terrain. I love that they've got a little chain cover right here. They've got a chain ring guard on the front. Alloy pedals are going to be pretty sturdy, but a little less sharp than some of the other pedals we see on like mountain bikes and stuff. They got rubber tread. The wheels on this bike are 700C by 44, so they're a little bit fatter, which brings some comfort, but 700C is wider, that's 28 inches, so it lowers the attack angle, helps you to span cracks and maybe go over cobblestone and stuff a little bit more comfortably, and again, a little bit wider on these. I love that they've got reflective sidewall stripes. I love that there are integrated lights, and this one actually just turned off. I'm gonna turn it on again. We'll just power it up for a second. Hold the plus button. This, and there we go. Look at this Fushan. I love these lights there. 100 lux. They can aim up or down, and then they've got these cutouts on the side so you can see them along with those reflective sidewall stripes. So headlight, backlight, both of those powered by the main battery pack and controlled through the display panel. We've got a little flick bell here for fun, kind of single people in a friendly way as you're riding. To me, this bike is about comfort, and it's also about approachability. All right, we're looking at the mid-step frame here, or like trapeze. They do have a high step, which is going to be a little bit more stiff than this, but possibly harder to mount. You see with the rack and everything back here, this can hold up to 55 pounds. It's got a little spring latch, pannier blockers and stuff. But if you actually have luggage on that and you're swinging your leg over, I mean, that first of all, there's like some knee and hip potential there for sensitivity. And then it's just high. It's kind of tough to get over. So I love the approachability of these frames. You just step right over. And if you really want approachability, you get something like this. This is a wave style frame, right? Just very, very low standover height. They've mounted the power pack against that seat tube. So the weight is low and center versus on the down tube over there with the trapeze frame. So these bikes are both fairly easy to service, I would think. You know, the Nexus hubs are very, they're kind of, you know, if you compare this to like a cassette and a derailleur, there's more stuff sticking out. This is all internal, which is great. You know, they've got these nuts on the end. It's not quick release in the rear, but you just tighten the belt here by sort of sliding it back on this spacer. It's all bike componentry back here. Same thing at the front. We've got a 9mm axle with a quick release skewer over there. Pretty good setup, and 13 gauge spokes in the rear, 14 up front, so they're thicker in the back, which is where a little bit more weight could end up being on that rack and everything. I love that they include a kickstand. We've got some puncture protection going on with these tires, and then the rims, you'll notice they're shiny on the side, so that's a machined sidewall, and it interacts with these hydraulic rim brakes. You might be like, well, why rim brakes versus a disc brake? Well, it kind of cleans up the frame a little bit, and it brings everything up. If you're parking this at a bike rack, you could imagine those metal bars that sometimes clunk into your fork or maybe the sides of your tires and stuff. With a disc brake, it's a little bit easier to collide and have that bend. So these rim brakes are really popular in Europe, and I think it's a good choice for a bike like this. While we're up here, I want to point out that the light is mounted to the arch on the suspension fork versus like up here. So, you know, it could get blocked a little bit by this fender and wheel. It still does pretty well. It's raised a little bit, it's aimable, but it's also going to bounce up and down compared to if it was up here sprung on the raised part of the frame. So it's a minor thing, just a little consideration. PEGASUS is part of the family of companies that include Bulls. They've been around since the late 1980s, and they've got people on their board. The former CEO of Porsche. They do a lot with German society. They're kind of engaged in cycling safety and really emphasizing that for their bikes. These are sort of value price bikes, $38.99, so a little bit more affordable. This is kind of the mid-level Pegasus that I'm reviewing for the Bulls family in 2019. It's neat to see a bike that comes in 4 frame sizes. It's got a little bit of comfort. It's not the world's best suspension fork, but it's a coil fork. There is preload adjust under that cap, and then compression adjust with lockout on the right. Maybe a little bit heavier. This is 54.5 pounds, this bike. But again, with fenders, plastic, SKS, we've got that nice alloy rack in the rear, a little bit larger saddle. This is Selle Royale, a Senza, a bit wider. Comfort grips. These are ergonomic, not locking, so they might spin a little bit, but that hasn't been a problem so far. A riser bar that's swept back, and an adjustable angle stem, 0 to 60 degrees. Very cool. Even a little bit of a riser right here. So it's just upright, it's comfortable, you're gonna be able to spot the road, and you've got the high capacity battery pack, so that's a 500 watt hour, along with a faster 4 amp charger from Bosch. Bosch gives you a 2-year comprehensive warranty on all of their drive systems and stuff. And I like that in this case, we've got the Active Line Plus. So it's not the lowest end in terms of Bosch motors. It still gives you rear wheel speed measurement, pedal cadence, and pedal torque measurements over 1,000 times per second. It has shift detection, and in this case, it is compatible with like an internally geared hub. It's a great system, and it weighs a little bit less than their Performance Line motors. They're about 8.8 pounds, so it's really nice to have something that's lightweight, it's compact, it's quiet. It doesn't give you quite as much power. It's only up to 50 Newton meters versus 63 or even 75 with their mountain bike motor, but it's just so compact, and it blends really nicely with the frame and the battery and everything. I love that they've got bottle cage bosses here. I like the black color because it helps to sort of hide these wires and stuff. And coming back to the hydraulic rim brakes, look at these are adjustable reach levers, tool-free, so you can bring them in a little bit if you're someone with smaller hands or full-length gloves. I feel like they've done a great job here. They've put together a handsome bike, one that is colored so that it could be kind of unisex, one that hides the electric drive systems fairly well, and then the power pack battery is a little bit lighter than the integrated battery. So I looked at the Premio NU, which is New Vinci, and it's a continuously variable transmission hub versus a stepped 8-speed in this case. This one's a little bit lighter at about 4 pounds versus 5.5. This is still a very comfortable bike, very performant. And then let's come up here to the display panel. So I've already powered it on. There's a little power button on the top. To turn those lights on, I held plus, but you press plus or minus to navigate through the different levels of assist as well. So Eco, Tour, Sport, and Turbo is the top, and that one's fun to ride in. Still fairly quiet, and you'll see that later in the ride tests. If I want to change from miles per hour to kilometers per hour, I'd hold minus and tap the power button up here. I can also change some of these readouts at the bottom by holding minus on its own. So trip distance, and I'm going to clear this by holding plus and minus. I hold it for a couple seconds more. It says here's our total distance, 15 miles. Range is really cool. It's dynamic. So it calculates this based on the last mile of riding and your remaining battery capacity. So it says full, but again, these are just 5 ticks. That's 20% increments versus 10, which would be, 10%, be a little bit more precise, or even a battery percentage. That's something I'd love to see from Bosch, and they do have a nicer display. It's called the Kiox, and it's color, and it mounts right here, but it adds to the price of the bike. So keeping this bike under $4,000, a very compact display. It's not removable. You can sometimes swivel it if you don't over tighten the mount, and then under this rubber cover there's a little micro USB port, but it's actually only for diagnostics. It doesn't let you charge your phone or anything, and that's a missed opportunity in my opinion. This is slightly backlit, sort of a light gray, sort of a white color. Definitely like that. I like how easy it is to interact with, but the buttons don't click in as easily if you press in the bottom. You want to press at this edge because they sort of pivot down. So again, a little bit different. Some shops will actually upgrade you to the Intuvia if you pay $150, $200 for the hardware and some of their service and stuff. And that one is removable. It's bigger if you're someone who's, you're sitting upright and you want to be able to read it a little bit easier or do the charging thing. This isn't bad though. It stays out of the way. It's kind of understated. When you come back and look at these bikes, they blend in nicely. I think they do a pretty good job. So that's about it. That's the Purion display panel. It might be a good idea to just hop on these things and take a little ride. Yeah, and I'm here with one of the North American leaders for Bulls. This is Fernando.
Hi guys, how are you? Hey Court.
It's great. It's been fun riding with you, and it's often exciting to get like a fresh perspective and see someone third person. And we were riding around Palos Verdes, or Ranchos Palos Verdes, and there's a shop around here that you might want to swing by.
Yeah, Cyclopath.
Cyclopath. They carry these?
Yeah, they just signed up with us, and they're here in Palos Verdes. It's the only shop here in Palos Verdes.
Wow.
And yeah, he has a lot of interest on e-bikes, you know, due to the geographical conditions of the Palos Verdes.
Lots of hills.
Yes.
Lots of hills, guys. So yeah, we might just hop on these bikes and I'll follow Fernando. Okay, guys, I'm gonna hop on the Wave frame here. There is maybe a little bit of frame flex, not a ton when I shake it, but that's the compromise when you have a single tube like this versus the sturdy triangle shape over there. Nice kickstands. It stays out of the way of the pedals if you do pedal backwards. I'm just gonna stow that. And then there is a walk mode with these bikes. So if you power it on and you take it up to any of those assist levels and you press the walk mode button and then hold plus, look at that, sort of propels itself forward, which is nice. And that's cool if you're walking in like a mall right now or something. There's like a hill or maybe a grassy park and it's just not appropriate to ride the bike. Remember, it's like 54.5 pounds, depending on the frame size. 4 frame sizes, gotta love that. So very nice that walk mode actually works on this bike. Fernando back there. Another thing that was kind of interesting when I was looking at the specs for this bike is that the Wave frame seemed to have a 27.2 millimeter seat post versus 30.9 on the mid step and the high step. So, you know, keep that in mind. You might want to double check this before getting a seat post suspension, which would be a nice comfort upgrade. You know, you could be hanging out, riding around in a hardtail situation. You've got comfort up front with the ergonomic grips, the adjustable stem and all that. But in the back, you've just got the saddle, and it's got some rubber bumpers, but again, suspension seat posts like Thudbuster or Body Float could really enhance the feeling. We got another cyclist. Sweet. Hey guys, from here you can see those nice hydraulic rim brakes. Really interesting. You've got this silver lever here so you can kind of adjust them and then take the wheel off more easily. There's no quick release on the rear, but there is up front. 24 teeth on that rear sprocket. We got the Gates Carbon Drive CDX belt there that's going to stay on really nicely. And then this alloy like chain cover, very minimalist. It's really tucked in. It's not going to rattle around as much as some of the plastic ones. And then there's also a chainring guard, 50 teeth on this front chainring or belt ring. A lot of times with Bosch motors, I'm used to seeing the tiny little sprockets because that's the performance line motors. But with the Active and Active Line Plus, you've got a more traditional size sprocket, and it even pedals backwards. So see how that belt goes through? It's kind of nice, but there's a little bit of friction when you pedal backwards. It doesn't turn as easily as a non-motorized bottom bracket or maybe some of the other bikes. So I know it's a lot of information. I think these pedals are kind of cool too. Got the X up. Everything's really low and center on this thing. I'm going to go ahead and pedal along and switch gears with the Inter 8. It's 8 gears in there. You can shift at standstill, so I was experimenting with that earlier, and you can see the little cable kind of running through. The Bosch motor does have shift detection, and it is designed to work with planetary gears like this. So, you know, it's integrated. It's listening for pressure changes in addition to your pedal cadence, and it seems to work pretty well. It's not perfect, but just a really clean and tough system. There's no derailleur hanging down. So let's do it. Enough said. Very quiet compared to the performance line motors, but you're only getting up to 50 newton meters of torque, of course, and then the RPM maxes out at 105 versus 120, so you start to spin fast and the motor just doesn't really keep up. But it's, yeah, just so quiet, a little bit lighter weight too. Pretty good setup. Okay, so the suspension fork is completely open right now. I like to do that because I'm fairly lightweight. There is preload adjust on the left-hand side, but right now Yeah, it's giving me that good cushion. I'm gonna pedal along, give you a view, and yeah, maybe follow Fernando. Okay, bud. Sweet. And the hydraulic brakes are just so nice. It's right around here, yeah? Yeah. Sweet. You can hear a little bit of jitter here with the plastic fenders, but they tend to hold up pretty well. You know, aluminum alloy can be sturdier, but it weighs more, can get bent a little bit. Steel can rust, tends to be even stiffer than aluminum. There's just a little bit of wiggle sound. Here it is, Cyclopaths. That's a cute name. Sweet. Hey guys, how are you? We got some little ballerinas on that side.
Hey Mike.
Sweet.
How are you?
Sweet. They got some trikes and some traditional bikes. So you're the owner of this place, right?
Yes.
Fernando's been telling me about it. How long have you been around?
We're just on a year now.
Wow, just getting started.
Yeah.
And look at all this stuff. You've got quite the selection.
Yeah.
And you said something about they're going to carry some e-bikes, probably some Bulls and maybe Pegasus or something?
Yes, they'll be here soon.
Awesome. Have you spent much time on these bikes yourself?
Yes, I have actually. I've ridden quite a few of them. Fernando comes by every now and then.
Oh, man. I bet. Right? You bothering this guy, like getting help with tune-ups and stuff?
My neighbor. He has to get used to me bothering him now.
You're in the same neck of the woods. It's so neat to be able to like just take a ride and, you know, meet people at the new shops and stuff. Really cool area. Have you ever done Cyclovia in LA?
You know, I haven't yet because this is my first foray into LA because I've been an Orange County guy for.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I used to live in like Costa Mesa. Is that?
Got it. Yeah. Because I have worked at Rock and Road Cyclery, Surf City Cyclery.
Oh, I've heard of all of those. Yeah,
Right,
yeah. Well, sweet. Congratulations on your new shop, man. And is this the logo for the shop here? This is kind of cool.
No, this is just a generic T-shirt.
Just a generic T-shirt.
Yeah.
We're near LA. Everything is like stylish around here, and I love the window displays that you've got. This is so cool. Really creative.
Yeah, that's a dual function actually. Those are the security gates for the shop too.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's right. Oh, you know, I've seen this before, like where they have the sliding gates, but I guess it serves a similar purpose.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Well, this is awesome. I don't mean to cut us off or anything, but you know, we've been out riding and stuff. I think that's probably a good place for an endpoint. That's the Pegasus Premio E8. I'll have the full write-up on this with all the specs and measurements and stuff for these frames back at ElectricBikeReview.com. Have fun out there, you guys. Ride safe. I'll see you next time.